Yeah, it's your boy E3, son of the legendary Godfather, gangster rap, Eric Easy, right? And yeah, you rockin' with NUGL TV. You know, we rich and ruthless, baby. Once again, NUGL TV, rich and ruthless, baby. We choose to keep it real. Really though.
Yes, another exciting adventure today.
Woo!
Miss Jessica, how are you, baby?
I'm fantastic. How are you
It's
doing?
a beautiful day. You bringing sunshine to this NUGL world today. I appreciate you being here.
After the thunder and lightning, I just brought in rays and sunshine.
That was insane.
Yep.
Where are we?
We're today another NUGL podcast with the famous, infamous Craig and Mark, the Pot Brothers. Thank
At
you.
law.
At law.
Hello.
Otherwise,
see-
we're just brothers who smoke pot.
No. You guys been branding this and marketing this and being a part of this thing for many, many moons. And you're recognized more as celebrity attorneys in the cannabis field. I mean, hey, I recognized, day one.
Can I kind of start there, though? Because I feel like just for those living under a rock and they've never heard of the Pot Brothers at Law,
Yeah.
which I find impossible.
Right.
But if I could give a little bit of backstory. So
Give it.
I was going to ask it actually, not
Yeah.
give it, but they probably give it better than I do. But so for those living under a rock, who are the Pot Brothers at Law?
I am Mark Wasserman.
Yes,
Together
he
with
is.
my big brother Craig, we are known as the Pot Brothers at Law, California attorneys handling all areas of cannabis business licensing, as well as all areas of criminal defense. Most importantly, we go around the country and teach people how to peacefully engage with law enforcement by using 25 words, simply known as the script, and to shut the fuck up when cops ask questions.
Shut the fuck up.
We have copyrighted and trademarked the script and shut the fuck up. And due to our large social media presence, we have created a worldwide attorney referral network system where we could possibly refer people, and we have, to good, honest, ethical attorneys all over the world. And that's a little elevator pitch of who we are.
That's the elevator pitch to the top. The penthouse suite.
That's the summary.
That's the submarine.
How did
man.
you guys go from being attorneys to just give us a little bit of backstory on how you guys went from being attorneys? I know you practiced other law before specifically this field.
Well-
So what was the background on that?
Well, I mean, how we started in the cannabis space, I started off doing business litigation, work comp law. I was representing injured workers. And then my brother came along 10 years later. He started practicing criminal law and had experience in criminal law with patients.
Yeah.
Because back then it was just patients' rights. And so that's, he's been practicing that for...
Since 1996, when the 1996 Prop 215 came out in
hit.
California
Right.
and gave patients their rights, and they were immediately getting arrested. It was being misused and abused. And so that's exactly when I became an attorney, jumped into criminal defense as a cannabis user, seeing what was going on.
But that was mainly... any kind of criminal law he was doing, happened to be working with cannabis patients getting arrested. So that's just a backstory on what we were doing. And then come along my son, Jay Cures from West Coast Cure.
Yeah.
And he wants to get into the cannabis space and he wants to grow for patients. And this is back during the SB 420 years, Prop 64, not 64, that's now, but really SB 420 after Prop 215. And it gave you a roadmap on how to
commit felonies, to commit the felony of cultivating, possessing, distributing. And people would come in and we'd say, here, you're going to commit these felonies, but if you do it like this, through Z.
There was a book. There was Attorney General guidelines.
They told you how to do it.
That's it. But it was a defense.
Yeah.
It was a criminal act first.
Yeah.
Defend it later.
Wow.
So, and if you did it correctly under the guidelines, you could walk into court with a defense on a silver platter. So when my son wanted to do it, we schooled ourselves in that area of the law and said, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna do it correctly. And that's how we kind of jumped into the cannabis space in that sense. But it still wasn't till years later that we actually, and again, because of my son, but because of that first grow he had, he got arrested for 4 felonies.
But if I have this straight, what you were just saying, let me just reiterate for a second. So you go into this kind of knowing that you're approaching a felony offense first, and then you plan to defend it.
Yes.
So you go into it knowing out the gate that you're most likely going to get arrested, and you expect that, so you prepared for it.
Correct.
You better.
Wow.
Correct.
I mean, that's how we told people. I mean,
Yeah.
I had housewives literally from Orange County come in. They thought it was so easy. They had money. They wanted to do a delivery or a store.
We had a
you
good
know
one.
what? No problem. But
Wow.
I give them the spiel. It's a felony first, this later. And
Stand up. Here's the
I did. I
handcuffs.
said, stand up, turn around, and prepare to be handcuffed.
Really?
And I probably lost myself 20, 30 grand.
Yeah.
I could have talked her easily into doing one, but that's just not how we ever have operated.
Right.
And
It only takes one person to really have a bad taste in their mouth about you to go tell all the other housewives, they told me that I could do this and they lied to
And
me,
now I'm arrested.
So you guys.
Which has people have come to us just to throw it in there.
Yeah.
That he mentions that have come to us after going to an attorney who said, "Here, you're all set up. Here's all your paperwork. Go," and then they get arrested and they come to us to defend it with the paperwork they were given, and it's not right.
Wow.
So we see it. Time and again.
and that was the beginning of I guess cross-pollinating from Mark just doing criminal defense to me doing the transactional law and melding that together, because most attorneys who were setting people up back then for the cannabis business that you could defend were not criminal. No, they were criminal defense attorneys, not transactional attorneys.
Yes.
Or transactional and not criminal defense, because
more of that, actually.
They didn't understand that. Well, it was the defense. It's to make money. That's how they're looking.
That was
at
it.
We're saying this is your defense, okay? And you got to pay us a little bit, but this is your defense.
Yes.
So
And the thing that you got from that transactional attorney that you paid to set this up, to us, it's no good.
wrong.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, and that's how it was back then. So my son had 4 felonies. He literally, we've been telling him since the day he was born probably to shut the fuck up, especially being in the space he was in. And he got busted. That's a whole long story.
But he shut the fuck up.
Ultimately, he shut the fuck up.
Yes.
The cops lied on the police report.
Absolutely.
We took them to court.
Big surprise.
We did a motion to dismiss based on unreasonable search and seizure,
Yes.
no probable cause. We actually, that first case, the special DA they brought in to defend the motion to dismiss, and we showed the DA the video and audio.
Yes.
And where they asked my son, he was sitting on a curb in front of his house, "Are those your keys?" And my son said, "Yes, but I don't consent to a search." Police report says he consented, and the part of the tape where he says those are my keys, but I don't consent, literally went.
No way.
No,
Wow.
you can't make
Can't
this
make
shit
it
up.
up.
Holy.
Cannot make it up.
So we put my son on the stand, and he's like, "There's no way I would ever consent to a search. I would be disowned
Right.
from my family."
Yes.
Literally, he said that
Right.
to the judge.
Yes.
And after that,
Well, that was the second one.
Yeah,
There was a second one.
That was the second
The first, because you were saying the first one, the special DA came in and watched.
Oh, that's right. They dismissed.
They watched it and went, "Hold on, let me go talk to the officer." Goes to the officer, comes back and says, "Oh, the officer's not going to testify."
Wow.
Wow. Oh my God.
So then we go in. That case was dismissed. Then a few years later, another case happened.
Yeah.
And
Well, he was delivering actually.
Right.
Yeah.
He was on his cell phone in his hand.
Oh,
That's
wow.
why he got
Probably.
pulled off.
In a rental car.
Yeah.
Oh wow! That was his excuse for not having the earbuds in, or it was in his car. He was in a rental car.
But that was the lawful pullover. Had the phone in his hand.
Right.
Right.
And this one, he stuck to the script. In fact, you see him passing our card through the window to the officer. And for those out there, the card says, "I do not consent to a search to any police officer or law enforcement personnel. I am invoking my Fifth Amendment Miranda rights and will only speak to you with my attorney present." That card was seen given, and then they get out of the car, brings him around to the curb outside of the video.
There it is.
And sits him down, and then suddenly comes back with gloves on and starts searching.
Okay.
Wow.
Cop says, "Oh, and I sat him down. He consented." All right, well, that's it. It's all mic'd up. We heard all the, in the beginning when he told the officer, and we don't recommend doing this.
Yes.
"What's that smell?" And he said, "It smells not probable cause."
Okay.
Because he has a couple of attorneys. And
So what is the
well,
correct answer?
Well, smell isn't probable cause.
Back then it was.
Yeah.
Arguably, yes.
There was a split on case law. If the argument is if it's ultimately legal conduct because you're doing it under the rules correctly,
Yes.
that can't be the basis for
A search.
probable cause.
Right.
There's got to be some illegal conduct.
Yes.
But back then, was it illegal first? Then you defended it, then it was legal. So he But he did make the comment to her, you couldn't, it's not probable cause.
Yes. And so then gets her out, and that probably pissed her off.
Yes.
And then she did what she did. And then we get all the evidence, just like we did the first time. And we get that tape and we hear everything, and goes over to the curb. Guess what? Where she said he consented.
That's
Can't make
crazy.
two different police departments.
So
Newport Beach.
Wow.
they take it and then do their thing.
No shit.
Yeah.
When I asked her on the stand what happened, I don't know, technical blah. But
Oh, okay.
the bottom line was the judge who heard my nephew testify, as my brother said, I would be disowned from my family
Right.
if I ever consented to a search
Yes.
or said anything else. And the judge, after I grilled the cop on the timeline and everything, did not believe there was consent.
Wow.
Well, the best part was, and that's why it's so important we give out these cards we have. Not only does it say do not consent, it has a script on the back.
Can I have one?
But we literally, in that second case,
Yes.
when he's cross-examining the cop, he asks her, we look at the video.
Yes.
We have the card.
Wow.
Is this the card he handed you? Yes. Here, can you read the back of the card to the court?
Wow.
Oh,
Where it
wow.
starts off
Because
in-
he see it.
where it
Go
starts-
ahead.
See that.
Let's
where it
go
starts
ahead.
off in red. And so she picks
The whole
it up
script?
and read not the script.
the script
part,
wasn't there, just the part in red.
Under I do not consent.
I do not consider to search.
She reads that to the court. And so my brother's like, what did you say from the time you took him out of the car, when he gave you that, to the time you set him on the curb, which was a few minutes? What did you say to
Yes.
my nephew to make him change his mind?
Right.
And that's when she started in with the
You're confusing me.
Woo.
And I did something that the only time I've done it, and I haven't done it since. I hope to never do it again.
You smacked her. I'm kidding.
Oh boy, did I want to. But this was probably the equivalent for an attorney when you're confusing me. Well, that's because you're a liar. And you don't do
Well,
that. You
yeah,
don't do
that's
that in
true.
court. You
Yeah,
gotta let the
right.
judge determine it.
Yeah.
And the judge glared at me. But it might not, I was pissed, and so I apologized, and then I was done. And then at the end of it, it was done. We got the case dismissed. We got an order because he was operating properly within the law.
Yes.
which normally we use that to get the initial case dismissed.
Yes.
But if you can get it off on a technicality,
Not a
which is
technicality, it's your rights.
violation of your rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
There it is.
And that's it, even the best. Then you don't have
Right.
to worry about was your defense exactly correct.
And that's where I say, as defense attorneys, we want every possible defense at our disposal, right? Right from the beginning. Was it a pretextual stop? Let me make that argument. Let me make this argument.
So you start from the top
Correct.
and
Go
then
all the way
start
down.
chopping it up.
And when you start talking outside the script we have, you start chipping away at some of these defenses
Chipping
we
away.
might be able to use if you
Yes.
don't even know what you're doing.
God, I wish I had that script 10 years ago.
So important.
Now, I remember back when the 215 was passed, a lot of these pop-up disturbancies came in, but they were called, we were patient and we were collective.
That was
collective.
Right, correct. And actually, just to make it correct, factually correct, people get confused and people were using Prop 215 completely wrong.
Yes.
Prop 215, patients could smoke and have their own.
Okay.
Okay? There was no vehicle to buy it or sell it or put it together.
Absolutely.
Or grow it.
Right.
So,
Oh, interesting. So anything surrounding it in ways of like acquiring it or
correct,
anything was illegal.
Still.
Got it.
So then they came out in 1990.
2008 was the
2008, they came out with the Attorney General guidelines.
Well, hold on.
Whatever year it was, doesn't matter.
No, it was 2006 SB 420, and then
SB
2008 explained SB 420.
Okay.
Right. So SB 420 came out that said you can collectively get together.
Okay.
Cooperatively. That was the language.
Collectively or cooperatively
Cooperatively, yes.
get together
Right.
to to grow it and then provide it to members of the collective.
Got it. I remember that.
And then
Yes.
so people were setting up, attorneys were setting up people, and it's as nonprofits.
Yep.
Nonprofit
I remember
mutual
that.
Benefit.
Yeah.
That's right.
But what happened was the Attorney General guidelines finally came out that said, okay, because no one knew what it meant exactly. SB 420,
Yes.
collectively get together.
That's when
Yes.
they tried to start the church and all that too,
That's
right?
something
Yeah, that's
separate.
Dave. different.
All right.
That's under no law. That's attorneys really whoring themselves out to try to make a buck to help someone have an illegal business. To get a church, I talked to an attorney once. It's not
you?
easy. Yeah,
I
you got
mean,
some people
that's
call up,
tax
I said, "Look,
write-offs on top of it.
you got to really have a church, and there's all these rules regarding it.
Absolutely.
And so
They There, you're
Beautiful.
That's so. Was there one case in particular that you think really catapulted you guys? Because you guys are really like the. I don't even. Yeah, actually, I shouldn't say that. A name has crossed my path here or there of somebody that specializes in representing cannabis, like law and stuff, but I can't even tell you the name. It's like, you guys are the monsters in the industry, period.
Yeah.
Like, was there a particular case that did that, or was it your social media
No, it
presence?
was
What
my
do you think it
son.
was?
My son.
It's his fault.
My son got us on Instagram. He actually, what happened, how we got on
years he
Instagram
tried.
was, for years he's been telling us, get on IG.
Yeah.
This was like 5-6 years ago.
Right.
Get on IG. Get on IG.
No, that was like 7-8 years ago because we
Right, when he was telling us that.
Yeah.
And I was already over Facebook. I mean, I'm almost 60 years
Yes.
old. I'm done with Facebook.
That's like me with Twitter. I'm like,
And now
or
here's a new
TikTok. I'm like,
thing,
I'm not doing it.
eh. So fast forward a few years, he calls us up. This is around Prop 64 times coming around. And he says, Dad, I got this this kid, he does a radio, he does an internet show. Yeah. And he smokes. And he wants attorneys to come on and get interviewed about Prop 64.
Wow.
And it's like a podcast, pre-podcast days maybe, and it was a live streaming internet feed.
You're right.
And I'm going, I don't know.
And I say, where? Let's go.
Let's
go. Where we go?
We have the state bar.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I said,
you're looking at everything.
Well,
I looked
he
at
was.
everything.
I was ready
he
to
says,
go.
let's just go.
Yeah.
It's an interview with some kid up in the fucking Burbank.
Hollywood, baby.
Yeah.
Be Real TV.
Of course.
It ended up being Adam Hill, getting high with Adam Hill.
Oh, wow.
And it was a Be Real studio when he was working with them.
Yep.
We talked about when he brought up the bar and what we have our physician's recommendation here in California
Remember
as
that?
cannabis
Yes.
patients.
Yeah.
It's a private facility. They smoke. They do the smoke box in there. They don't care. Who
They had the
cares?
smoke box in there. It was awesome. We saw the smoke box, and who came out of it? It was
David Arquette.
David Arquette was
David Arquette.
That's awesome.
And that was January 22nd, 2015.
David Arquette,
So we
that's
go.
hilarious.
So I figured we have our physicians Rex. It's a private place.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right.
Why not?
Wow.
So it was that night. So we went up to LA. We did the show with Be Real. We did the show with Adam.
Right.
We smoked and bonged and toked and whatever, dabbed. And,
Live
did
callers
like
that
an
were
hour
coming
and a
in.
half,
That's awesome.
Long
talking
time.
about Prop 64 and all that other good stuff. And then when we got done with it, I don't know if my son made a comment about you need an IG page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he did again.
I stood there and went, because we had talked about Pop Brothers at Law years.
It was a joke.
Years ago,
Right.
kind of as a joke.
Yeah.
We're brothers. We smoke pot brothers.
Right.
I actually made cards to give them to my cannabis clients.
They just had that on there. So I get on IG and I put POT and I thought I was putting a space.
Yeah.
I get this shit all the time for this.
Yeah, thanks.
Because instead of just Pop Brothers at Law, it's POT
Pot underscore brothers underscore law.
Right.
You
Because
gotta
I
say
was putting in a space.
yeah.
I was
Right, putting in the underscore.
underscore.
king of social media.
So we put a few pics up with us, Be Real, Adam Hill, and then we decided, what are we gonna do with this?
Yeah.
I mean, he had some success with Facebook on making it. I never did. I kept it just a personal thing.
That's it.
I use social media since MySpace.
Yeah.
Okay. Me
So
too.
Me too.
And getting clients. So he was already, he had already done that. So we're like, what are we gonna do? Let's, and Jared, our son, Jay Cures, was like, Dad, no one, you guys, because we've come from the ground up.
Yes.
I mean, my kid's been in the industry.
Right.
He's 36, probably,
Yeah.
over 20 years.
Yeah.
Figure out how
Right.
he was. So we know the people on the ground level of the real, of how people started. And we always gave crisp, frank, free advice. If it was just, we're not charging you $500 to come in and tell you how to shut the fuck up.
Right.
So we decided it was 15 seconds back then. And we started a whole series on.
I remember 50-second clips.
Yeah,
I remember that.
15 seconds.
I remember that.
What to do if you
Started
get
off
pulled
at
over.
15
I remember
second
that.
tips of the day.
Yeah.
And when we go back and look, so we started with the whole pullover, what to do, what to say.
I remember that.
And it was like 15 seconds, and then we started going into other parts of California law, and then we started developing, not really knowingly, none of this was planned whatsoever. We fell ass backwards into where we are now.
That's amazing.
And it was, in trying to let people know how to shut the fuck up. And I mean, this 15 seconds was crazy.
Yes, it was.
It was nuts. And how much we go back and look at some of those 15-second tips.
Wow.
After the first month or so, I mean, it's like, how did we do that?
Everyone learned how to talk really
Like,
fast.
we got a lot of information in, and then we started with the shut the fuck up stuff and not talking to the cops. And that went from California law, which was all the cannabis stuff, because we're only California lawyers, but it went to your Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights to not incriminate yourself, unreasonable search and seizures. And that applies to every state in the U.S.
Right.
So that's really kind of where that took off, I think, as far as, oh, wait a minute, this isn't just California law.
Yeah.
This is every state. You have your constitutional rights.
Wow.
And that's kind of how that ballooned. And then we just went.
And as people were coming at us with questions, because we were, in the beginning, there was just shut the fuck up. Don't consent to searches. And as questions would come in, we were
Well, that's how we developed the script.
figuring out, okay, that we got to give people a script.
Yes.
Don't argue
Because
with the
what if the
police.
cop says this? What if
Right.
he does that? And,
Right.
Whoops. And it doesn't matter.
I'm
It
not
doesn't
talking
matter.
to you or be rude, or that's when at some time we just came up with, I'm not discussing my day.
Well,
There it is.
Right.
and why did you pull me over? And everything that we say, more or less, is enveloped in law and
Yes.
based on case law.
Okay.
Because why did you pull me over? You got to establish the traffic stop, because the cops have 8 to 9 minutes to write you a ticket. They can't just keep you there for no reason. They've got to have other independent probable cause to further detain you.
Yeah.
And if you don't talk and say things, they're not going to get it.
Right.
And so why did
Even
you
if
pull
they
me
end
over?
up holding you longer, if you asked that and they didn't establish it, there's your first line of defense.
Correct.
Right.
And that's what some cops will do. You get the cop who walks up to you and starts with
Nice
small
hat.
talk.
Nice hat.
hat,
Yeah.
The
nice
small, I don't need no
glasses,
small talk. Exactly.
and
Yeah.
and what they're
Nice
doing
earrings.
is
Yeah.
looking in your car from the moment they step out of there. They're looking. They're looking for whatever they can. How can I get in the car? They found a way to pull you over. They're looking for a way to get in your car, and by shutting the fuck up and sticking to the script, it dictates how they're going to behave and whether or not they're going to actually violate your rights. And at the end of the day, we prove that, as my brother said, after you get arrested. That might be the worst of it. You get arrested, you go in, you get out. And then if your rights have been violated and you have stuck to these 25 words and shut the fuck up, it's going to be much easier for your attorney to expose those violations of rights.
Okay, with the new laws and all the recreational, we went past the medical.
Adult use.
The cops is really cool with it now in LA.
I don't know.
I've been pulled over at a DUI stop.
It depends who
right?
you are, and it depends who the cop is.
yeah.
Because we get the exact opposite. Like we're dealing with a case right now. In fact, I go to court on the 18th. It's very irritating. This is in Los Angeles County.
Tell them first about the one we just got dismissed.
Okay, let's start there. So this
You heard about driving while black, right?
I got it.
this
Okay?
is
This is what, being on a porch while black.
Oh, wow.
This is the black man on a porch case
Okay.
that we had. It
Wow.
came to us, probably 2.5 years ago.
Yes.
And the situation was our client rented an Airbnb
Yep.
in, was it Alhambra somewhere? And he rented an Airbnb through his girlfriend. His girlfriend actually rented it and listed him, and it was all done through Airbnb. So he's there a couple days. One day, the neighbor sees a strange black man on the porch next door.
Wow.
Calls 911, says, "Hey, I think the next door is supposed to be vacant and there's a black man on the porch."
Wow.
Cops come. Nobody's there when the cops come. They talk to the neighbor. The neighbor says, "I think this is supposed to be vacant."
Wow.
He doesn't even know for sure. He says, "I think this is supposed to be vacant." The cop goes up to the front door. And through cross-examination, I elicited all this information. There was no sign of breaking and entering. There was no tools, burglary tools, no broken windows, none of that stuff. The cop goes around the back to further investigate, sees no evidence of burglary, crime, or anything else, goes to the back door, decides to reach the doorknob handle and turn it and open it. It was unlocked, and he opened it and walked in.
Wow.
And there stood our client in his underwear, surrounded by, pounds and pounds of cannabis.
Okay. Pounds and pounds.
Pounds and pounds of cannabis in his dwelling.
At least 25.
In his dwelling.
Oh my God.
The cops then proceed to detain him, sweep the house for their security,
Yes.
then get a warrant
Okay.
to go
Wow.
with the rest of the house and find everything else. And then they bust him for all the cannabis crimes they can, the felony conspiracy that they throw in.
The whole
Felony
shebang.
conspiracy.
So we get the case, and what the hell is he going in how does he just walk in? Where's his right to do that? You must have an exigent circumstance. An emergency must be. Did you screaming? Was there yelling? What's the emergency?
Broken glass.
Right.
Shot.
Any signs? What is it? And when the cop said, well, there was a 911 call about a black man on a porch, and it's a high crime gang area. and I said, so black man on the porch is in a gang? No, that's not what I said. I almost felt bad for the cop when I was cross-examining him because
Porch Mafia.
It was just ridiculous. And so in my closing argument, I said to the judge, this case is very important because if you rule against us, you're saying now that cops can go in to somebody's house without a warrant.
Yes.
And the exigent circumstance, the emergency is that there's a black man on a porch. We rest. That was it. And
then he dropped the mic.
A couple months later, we actually did a media motion and we got the ruling on. It's on record, recorded on our podcast, Cannabis Talk 101, and the case was dismissed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was an illegal entry. You cannot do that. And now we have a situation where we have a client who had his car broke down. And he was getting fixed, and they had all sorts of problems getting it back to him. And they're like, "We're so sorry. You know what? Here, we're giving you an upgrade on your car rental. Here's a nice Maserati to drive around, and we're sorry." And he was like, "Oh, great, cool." So he's driving around L.A. County, Del Taco. He's eating with the friend. Cop comes, whips a U-turn, comes up to him. "What are you doing in my neighborhood?" That's what the cop says, and then proceeded to search the trunk without consent and without a warrant. And of course found cannabis. There's always cannabis. I mean, who cares anymore that there's some cannabis? So this case is now at that motion stage to where, what gave you the right to go into the trunk? What gave you the right? They didn't pull him over. They were parked eating Del Taco. So, I mean, it's so I'm sorry that when it started off when you had mentioned the cops are relaxed in LA. And it's just, it's, you don't know which cop you're going to get.
Let me tell you,
That's
experience I just did 2 weeks ago. We had a show with the Dog Pound in Seattle. And normally we in Seattle, our distributor gives us cannabis. And sometimes we bring it home, sometimes we don't. We got cannabis. So they had some new jet fuel, whatever. So they give us a lot of pre-rolls, and they give me a half-ounce jar, wrapped up, the whole thing, bells and whistles. I just put it in my backpack. Went through fucking TSA. I'm not even thinking about it. No, I have reason to. Go through TSA, and it's all about the TSA agent. Boom.
True.
He hit that, put mine to the side. Here we go. So the lady said, "Whose bag?" "It's mine." Daz pulls back. He goes to the side. He got more cannabis than me, though. His bag go right on through.
Oh, wow. But you had a metal lid on top, probably.
He loaded up. So she said, "You have a jar in here?" "Yes, I do. It's my cannabis." She said, "Oh, okay." So she pulls it out. Boom. She said, "Oh, I got to let PD know." "You got to let PD know?" "Yes, this procedure. Let me give you your flight information, ID." They take a picture of it. Give us a few minutes. Supervisors come in. They call PD. PD come over there. "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing fine, officer. Just got a little cannabis." "Is this all they got?" "Where's your flight?" "Give him his stuff and let him get out of here."
They took my tweezers. You keep your cannabis.
It's all the cop. It's all the cop. That's a different cop on a different day.
That happened to me in Las Vegas coming back.
Wow.
I went through LAX. It was an overnighter, and I usually always check my cannabis.
Wow.
I'm not taking a lot. They're not looking for that.
Right.
And I took a bunch of pre-rolls that were packaged, sealed, and I throw those in my check bag. I've never had a problem.
Right.
So
How do you pack them? Do you actually roll them up and put them, hide them in any way?
No.
You just put them in there.
Put them in there.
Okay.
Because what happened was, I was going to Vegas. I had my backpack with a smell-proof bag in it, and it had my weed in it, and I went through LAX, no problem. On the way back from Vegas, I go through it, pull it out, what's this? And they go in my backpack, open up my little pouch. There was a fucking cross knife this big
Oh, man.
that made it through LA somehow.
Yeah.
And then he'd go in like this. What's this? And I had like a quarter in a baggie.
Yeah.
Right? That was it. And he calls over the supervisor.
Wow.
And the supervisor comes over and goes, and I say, I had my recommendation in there.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, it really helps my mom's glaucoma. Give it back to him.
I'm telling you.
So if people always ask about that traveling with it, and we have to. I met a couple last night, and we always tell people it's not fucking legal.
Straight up. Now, the officer did say that. He said,
It's
you're going to
not
California
straight up.
where, he said, but it's federally
Well, no,
still.
no, it's still state.
even at the state level.
the state level.
It is not really legal,
not.
quote unquote.
Wow.
It's semi-legal if you have under 28 grams and as
Yep.
an adult,
At LAX.
it's legal. If it's over that,
Okay.
it's illegal. It's a misdemeanor.
Wait, can we really dive into that and start at the beginning? When we get to the end, we could stop. But let's go through really like what exactly is legal right now, because I feel like things turn over so
something's
quickly.
very simple.
Things turn over so quickly.
I say there's no,
Well-
it's not legal, and you got to stop calling it legal. It's partial legalization, because the
Okay.
danger is the people who come here from. We've represented these people from
Every day.
Chicago or other
Okay,
medicinal states
yes,
where
yeah,
they have their
right.
medical card, and then they come to California, get their medical card, and I'm going to fly here because I could get 8 ounces under the medical card,
Right.
and it's better here, and then
Yeah.
I have my medical card there. So what's the problem?
Yeah.
And then they come to us after they get hit with the felony, and they have 6 ounces, 8 ounces, and it's just, and we can get it knocked down to misdemeanors and possible diversion and other things like that.
Okay, it's unworkable.
But people need to at least know.
Yeah.
I feel bad for those. They just what?
Agreed.
I thought it was legal. And guess what? Ignorance of the law ain't no defense.
Exactly.
And you're breaking the law. So you need to know. We had a friend who, Jerry K. If you know Jerry K, he flew to Atlanta for Super Bowl, whenever that was. He went through LAX, fine, and he had in his checked luggage like a 5-pound joint, like some huge joint, right? And when he landed,
Maybe 5 ounces.
maybe 5 pounds. But when he landed, but he rolls those huge ones. But when he landed, he gets pulled off. He gets pulled off the plane.
Off the plane.
And the dog. Now this is interesting. The dog hit his luggage, but the dog hit. He had a glass metal tip from an old joint.
Oh, wow.
That he left in his jeans that he hadn't cleaned, and that's what the dog smelled. Because the joint was all been smell proof, everything else. And so, and he got busted. And he got busted. And he's shared that story
but
with
in the
us
state
before.
of California, if you don't have your medical recommendation, 28 grams of flour,
That's it.
that's it. 8 grams of wax. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Anything above those amounts
It's an issue.
is illegal possession.
Okay. There it is.
Period.
You heard it.
So it's not completely legal.
And that's why you should get your medical card in California.
So
Absolutely.
you can have more than an ounce.
You can have up to 8 ounces.
Well, you can have up to as much as you can prove, but there's
you
kind
medically need.
There's kind of guidelines where
Yes.
the police know if you have your rec, you can have up to 8 ounces.
Okay.
Some
cool.
of them.
So it's still, let's go back to the Pot Brothers advice. It's still
At law.
Pot Brothers at Law.
Pot Brothers at Law. It's still recommended that people under the cannabis medical situation that need it and want to go get your
Well,
medical
I mean,
card.
we've talked to doctors about this, but this is my own lay opinion.
Yeah.
If you're using cannabis, you're self-medicating.
Okay.
Whether you think it's adult use or not,
Yes.
it's a big misnomer if you ask me.
Right.
The
It's
all corporate greed made
the
that
whole
stuff
thing,
up.
because now they can charge more for now with
Okay.
adult use, we can charge $80 million% in fucking taxes. And it's still, no matter what, you're self-medicating, so you may as well get your card.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that word recreational, when do you go into a bar and order a recreational beer?
Well, at least we got it right in California. They call it adult
Adult use. Yeah, adult use.
Oh, man, what an exciting adventure. I want to thank you guys for coming in again and spending time with us, Nuggles.
Our pleasure.
Any last words on our closing to the patients, to the future of the cannabis community?
Yeah, but my 2 cents, just shut the fuck up.
There it is.
Don't discuss your day.
Get your card.
Get the
your,
card.
Get your name. Get your
Shameless
understanding.
plug.
Yes.
Go to P-Ball.
Yes.
PBAL merch.
There it is.
And you can get stickers
There it is.
that
Yes.
go on your visor or
Yes.
your window.
Yes.
You will never forget
I love it.
fucking script.
Bam. Got it.
Get them, please. They will save your ass from helping you help the cop. Fuck yourself.
There it
How
is.
shameless are we being?
Oh man! So Mark, can we go ahead and plug all of your social media and website and everything we should be going to?
Sure. It's Instagram and TikTok are both pot_brothers_at_law, courtesy of my brother not knowing the space bar.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Snapchat. Pretty much we have a presence on all social media, Twitter. In fact, our Twitter got hacked about six months ago. We
Okay.
lost 100 some odd thousand followers.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, God, I keep hearing that.
restarting it
Ain't
up,
nothing wrong with that.
You
whatever.
guys on TikTok yet?
Oh yeah, we have.
Oh, man.
We have about 540,000 followers on TikTok.
Okay. Well, there it is. The Prop Brothers at Law.
Can we look at this camera and do this one more time?
The Prop Brothers at Law.
Shut the
Shut the fuck up!
Shut the fuck up. Thank you so much, kindly guys. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.